Hey, what's up, everybody? It's ChrisWatters. Welcome back to my video blog. This is a super special edition because it's the first time we are doing this via Facebook Live. So if you're watching this, you're also going to get an email press release with our typical, uh, educational email we send out every 2 weeks. And I've got my friend Scott on here. Scott is in San Diego. He has a lot of questions about the Austin real estate market. So he's going to hammer me with a few questions live on Facebook.
Yeah, I'm excited to be here, Chris. Thanks for having me to help facilitate this. I think it's good to be live, and people can always chime in and ask questions as well. But tell me, like, for everyone out there, like, we're in the springtime. Like, this is the time to be, making a decision. I know Austin's a little different because you're not getting the brutal winters as a lot of people are in the Northeast. But tell me a little bit about the market. What are you seeing? What are some of the price points that are like really turning over? Like, give us the rundown.
Yeah, great question. So, the suburbs of Austin are just blowing up. Any homes under 250,000 are typically selling with multiple offers. So Round Rock, Cedar Park, Leander, Kyle, Buda, anything in that sub 250 price range, there's 1 to 1.5 months worth of inventory, and you should expect to get into multiple offers. If the house is in really bad condition and it's priced high and it's in bad condition, that may be a situation where it sits on the market and you should negotiate. The most important thing for any consumer out there is you really need to lean on a real estate expert to do the market research for you, because sometimes listing agents, the agents representing sellers, they don't always give the best advice to a seller. Maybe they take the listing on overpriced. So sometimes you do see stuff overpriced in that price range and isn't selling, but the houses that are in good condition are priced right. They're moving super fast with multiple offers. So anything in that sub 250 range, and then 250 to 300,000. There's about 2.5 months of inventory in the suburbs. You're not going to get in the core of Austin for 250 to 300,000. It's hard to get a piece of dirt in the core of Austin for under 300,000. So the suburbs are really blowing up in that sub 300 price range. At 2 to 2.5 months worth of inventory, prices are going up significantly. Most people say that, when you see about a month of inventory, you're typically going to see homes appreciate, between 10 and 20% a year when you've got a month or less. When you approach 2 months of inventory, it's typically about 5 to 10% appreciation over the course of a year. And then at about 3 months of inventory, 3 to 4 months of inventory, you can expect about 3 to 4% appreciation. And then your market gets to equilibrium, where it's kind of like, trying to decide between being a buyer and seller market at about month 6.
Right.
And in Austin, Texas, the only place you can go where you're going to see more than 6 months of inventory is in the high-end luxury market. And in the core of Austin, the high-end luxury market I would define as anything over about $2 million. So when you go north of 2 million, it becomes a buyer's market. North of 2 million, but anything in the core of Austin, again, the core of Austin under 2 million is moving, and people are seeing appreciation and doing really well. When you get into the suburbs, it's kind of crazy, because in some areas like Pflugerville, for example, if you look at homes in Pflugerville over 400,000, it flips to a buyer's market. So you can get a really good deal north of 400,000 in Pflugerville. And that also holds true for Round Rock and Hutto. So it's really important to understand the absorption rate in each of these suburbs, because as the price point goes up, the number of months worth of inventory also goes up. And north of 5 to 600,000 in the suburbs, it's a big time buyer's market. You can get a great deal in the suburbs north of 500 to 600,000. Whereas in the core of Austin at 5 to 600,000, you're talking about crazy hot seller's market and stuff selling with 5, 10, 15 offers in that $500,000 to $600,000 price bracket.
Yeah, so it's interesting because depending on the area you're in and how many, I'm getting some feedback. It's weird, but depending on the area you're in and how many where their price point is. Sorry, distracted. It will determine whether or not you're in a good position to maybe move up to a higher price point, right?
Yeah.
So, like for certain sellers, I would say, what price points do you feel like they're in a good position to maybe get a really good value for their home and then move up into another price bracket?
Man, I think like the sweet spot for a seller, I mean, super sweet spot for a homeowner in Austin, Texas, is if you have a home that is under 1.5 million in Austin proper. I mean, like, you know, within 15 minutes of downtown, you're going to be selling in an extreme seller's market, and you could go spend a fraction of that amount of money in one of the suburbs and only spend 500,000 to 600,000, and you wouldn't be buying into a seller's market. You'd be buying into a buyer's market where you're going to get an amazing deal. And that is the sweet spot where you can sell your home at the top and then turn around and buy at the bottom of the market, which the bottom of the market again in the suburbs is you know, 400,000, 500,000, 600,000. Like, it's a weak market in that price point. It's not going to stay like that forever. In fact, you know, because prices are going up so much in the core of Austin, a lot of people are moving out to the suburbs, and as more people move out to the suburbs, you know, demand goes up, prices go up, and so you're in a really sweet position if you're in the core of Austin and you want to move out to the suburbs, get a bigger house, get a newer house, more upgrades, features, and all those things. So really sweet position for people that live in close proximity to Austin.
That's really interesting because there's not a lot of markets like that where you can be at the top of at one price point and then move to another area and be at the bottom of that price point or in the different markets. That's really, really cool. What would you say to buyers that are trying to get into these areas that are where there's multiple offers? Like, how do you prepare yourself for that?
You know, there's a lot of strategies to help give you kind of a competitive advantage when you're making an offer and there's multiple offers. One is definitely add that emotional element to it. Write a cover letter, tell the homeowner about you and your family, throw in a picture of you and your family, you know, talk about why you want to live in this area so much and why you appreciate their home so much. I've had clients on both ends where we sent a cover letter in, and we didn't have the highest offer and we won. Yeah. And I've had situations where I represented a seller and I got one of those letters and I gave it to the seller and the seller accepted a lower offer. So those emotional things can, you know, be a really big deal for sellers. So that's step one. Step two is the terms of the contract when you're submitting an offer. You know, very basic fundamental things. Make sure you're submitting an offer with a pre-approval letter from a bank, and make sure, you know, the loan officer that's issued that pre-approval letter is going to be okay communicating with a listing agent to, you know, help reassure the listing agent that you've got a really well-qualified buyer. Obviously, if you can pay cash, that's great, and that'll give you a huge leg up. The other thing is, and these are some more, I mean, these are very risky things you can do. But you can also add things to the contract. Like, for example, you can remove the financing contingency where the contract isn't, you know, contingent on your financing. You know, if you're so confident in your financing and you've got the financial wherewithal to be able to go in it, knowing you know, you're not concerned about getting approved for the loan, you could remove that contingency. It's super risky, but that's something you can do. And then something else, I mean, again, the super risky thing you can do to make your offer look really strong is, you know, in Texas, we have this thing called an option period. And the option period is when you have this, you know, 7 to 10 day window where you go in and you do an inspection of the house. And, you know, you find out what are the issues with the home. And so if you really want to go to the extreme, something you could do is you could remove the option period. You know, if it's a newer house or you've got, you know, a background, maybe you're an experienced buyer, for example, and you know that, you know, you feel pretty confident about the home, maybe the builder, construction, things like that. Yeah. You could look at removing the option period. And so basically you would be locked in to that contract if you were to remove those two contingencies. And that gives an immense amount of confidence to a seller that you're serious and that this deal is going to close.
All right. And then the last question, I have for you is, I was reading a comment from, I think, your wife, but yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, Amanda.
Yeah, thanks, Amanda. The last question I have for you is, so we all know there's a million different ways to like put in your info and get some random number on what your home is worth. What do you suggest a seller does? They really want to identify what their home is worth, or what they'd be looking at if they were to go put the house on the market.
If you're serious about selling your home, you need to set an appointment to meet with a listing specialist. That's all they do, is help represent sellers, and they will do an extensive amount of research. So when you go to these tools online, like you can go check out one of our tools online on our website. I think there will be a link attached at the top of our video blog here where you can go check out what your home is worth. And it's going to give you a range, a low end and a high end range, but it's very inaccurate. And if you're serious about selling your house and you want to know, to the penny how much money you're going to net after closing costs, you should, give us a call, and we can actually, tell you exactly what you're going to net. Give you an exact figure of what the peak price would be for your home, and then show you, after closing costs and whatnot, how much money you're going to put in your pocket. So if you're watching this video and you're, getting it via our video email that we send out for our newsletter, then you'll, click on our link at the top to check out the our home evaluation tool. Otherwise, give us a call, because this is what we'll do is we'll go and check out the interior of the home, do an assessment, and come up with a number of what the peak value is for your property.
Awesome. Anything else you want to say to your consumers out there, your audience, everyone that's watching?
Yeah, the last thing I'll leave with everyone is, if you're a buyer and you're thinking about buying a home, on our website we actually have a sneak preview, what we call our coming soon section. And I think we've got over 24 homes listed on there in like super hot areas where consumers are going into a bidding war. And so if you want a competitive advantage as a buyer, go check out our coming soon inventory, because that's the only place you're going to find it online. And you can kind of read the details: bedrooms, bathrooms, location, square footage, things like that, and give you a little competitive advantage. You can call into our office, and one of our buyer specialists can show you one of those properties.
Awesome. Well, that's all we got for you guys. Thanks, Chris, for giving us this amazing insight on what's going on in the Austin market.
Cool, Scott. Hey, thanks for chiming in. I'm glad to do my first FaceTime or Facebook live post with you on here.
Yeah,
blasting this out to our database.
Many more to come. You're going to be getting all the tips and tricks from ChrisWatters on how he's taking care of his buyers and sellers in the Austin area. Awesome, Chris. Thanks.
Thanks, Scott. Appreciate you.